Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
A robbery leaves one teen dead. That story straight ahead.
The PLP's parliamentary team now complete with the appointment of its 4 senators. The story coming up.
The PLP chairman blasts the recent appointment of the We March organizer Renard Henfield to the Senate. That story straight ahead.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, a teen boy is dead tonight after a run-in with police. The incident is said to be the result of an attempted armed robbery at a pharmacy along Prince Charles Drive. April Sands has the details in this report.
4 suspects involved in a QVS pharmacy robbery, leaving one teenage boy dead after engaging police officers in a shootout. Still wearing his school uniform, the teenager's body was seen lying on the ground near the back of this Wendy's drive-thru in the Seagrape shopping plaza. According to reports, he was shot after firing at officers. Assistant Commissioner Clayton Fernandez says police raced to the crime scene following frantic calls from QVS Pharmacy, where customers were reportedly being held at gunpoint.
Shortly after 11 a.m. this morning, 4 young men entered QVS Pharmacy situated right here in the Seagrape Shopping Center, 2 of whom was armed with handguns, held employees and customers at bay, robbed the establishment of an undetermined amount of cash and some items from the store. Some of the customers were also robbed of a small amount of cash. Alert officers who responded, who was in the general area, they responded and observed the 4 men leaving the store. 2 again who were still armed with their handguns. They engaged the officers, fired shots at the officers. There was return fire, officers being in fear for their lives, also the employees and customers, and even bypassers in vehicle. They returned fire and eventually fatally shooting one of the individuals who collapsed just at the rear of the store.
One of the suspects got away while 2 others were captured by police as they attempted to flee the scene. Fernandez says one of the alleged robbers dropped this bag of items, which included cigarettes. Devastated relatives of the young suspect who was shot and killed arrived on the scene as police conducted preliminary investigations.
There's a lot of things going around in social media to say that they are school kids. We can't say that at this time. That is a line of inquiry that we are following. The deceased appeared to be a young child which should have been in school, but we are not confirming this at this present time. This is a line of inquiry that we are following, and as we move with the investigation, we will be able to update you with respect to the investigation.
Fernandez commended officers for their fast response to the robbery, which led to the capture of 3 of the 4 suspects. One QVS employee declined an on-camera interview, but said robbers attempted to tie up the cashier while demanding that he hand over his watch and cigarettes. We also spoke with this shopper who was visibly shaken.
It really does change a lot of how you look at life right now. You know, a little shaken up, but I'm all right. I know that they tried to tie me, but they couldn't do it.
Fernandez says today's dramatic incident should serve as a warning to criminals.
Excellent response time by the police, and that's what the Bahamian people want to see, response time to their complaint. And this is what you see play out today. If you continue in your old ways, this will be the end results.
For our news, I'm April Sands.
In other news, one day before the opening of Parliament, the 4 Progressive Liberal Party senators received their instruments of appointment during a ceremony at Government House. Here's Kyle Joaquin.
Former cabinet ministers Dr. Michael Darwell and Fred Mitchell now a part of the opposition's team in the Senate. Opposition leader Philip Davis says that although their numbers are small in the Senate, their team is quite powerful.
That in making our final selection, we are able to strike an even balance between the more traditional establishment wing of the party with what can best be termed the New Wave PLP.
In his first move to rebuild the party following its devastating loss at the polls, opposition leader Philip Davis appointed former Fox Hill MP Fred Mitchell to lead the opposition in the Senate. Davis touting Mitchell's experience as a plus to the debate while serving in that post in the upper chamber.
His outstanding experience in the international arena as Minister for Foreign Affairs, Immigration and Public Service, and his reputation for intellectual honesty and tenacity in parliamentary debate all give me great confidence in his ability to guide our team in the upper house.
Former Grand Bahama Minister Dr. Michael Darwell also receiving his instruments of appointment, as well as Clay Sweeting, who is a two-time PLP candidate for North Eleuthera. The lone female of the bunch is JoBeth Colby Davis, who the opposition leader described as a true representation of both women and the younger generation of politicians.
She is a new voice, but she will be a formidable one. I assure you, she is ready to bring her extensive expertise in law, energy policy, and financial services to the Senate.
Also present, the PLP's 4 members of parliament, as well as the former attorney general. The opposition leader telling the new senators that he is aware of the sacrifice the 4 members are making by becoming senators, but he encouraged them to hold the government's feet to the fire and debunk any information they feel is untrue.
It is also our duty to be vigilant and correct misinformation, lest it obscures the truth or lead to what is now popularly referred to in the public discourse of our great neighbors to the north as the alternative reality. We will have no tolerance for that.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts is blasting the recent appointment of We March organizer Renard Henfield to the Senate. Roberts says it's clear the massive protests were nothing more than a political sham that fooled some, but not him. This as the We March organizer says despite his new appointment, he plans on holding the government accountable and will march if he sees fit. Jasmine Brown has that story.
See the power right here? See the power right here? We don't need the mace. We don't need Rawson Square. No. The power is wherever we are.
That was We March co-organizer Renard Henfield 5 months ago as he led hundreds of people on a march on Majority Rule Day. At the time, he insisted that politicians were not welcome to the group's marches, which he insisted were not politically motivated. However, this was Henfield's yesterday, as he received his instruments of appointment as a government senator at Government House yesterday. His appointment came as a shock to many, especially after Henfield repeatedly denied he had political aspirations. Days after their Black Friday march last November, Henfield insisted the Bahamas needs to shed itself of, quote, the color gangs that control our country. While Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Bradley Roberts says Henfield is nothing more than a hypocrite and the march nothing more than a scam.
It is a fake scam, yes. It's never about the interests of Bahamian people. It was never about protecting the environment and was never about good governance. It was always about the deceitful manipulation of Bahamian people in a dishonest pursuit of selfish political interests, nothing more, nothing less.
Roberts says he believes Henfield's intentions were always politically motivated. The PLP chairman accused the We March organizers of exploiting the hundreds of Bahamians who participated in the Black Friday and Majority Rule March.
Obviously, many of them, in the end, did not continue to march behind him.
He also blasted Prime Minister Minnis for making what he called the ridiculous decision to appoint Henfield. Now, Henfield says despite his appointment to the Senate, he will march against the government if he sees the need to. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, former opposition leader Loretta Butler Turner says she understands why Minnis would want someone like Renard Henfield in the Senate. After making a few controversial Senate appointments herself, Butler Turner says Henfield's appointment could actually signal more accountability on the part of the government.
I think the big rah-rah going on now is about Mr. Henfield being placed in the Senate. I would say to people that I believe that Henfield has something that he can bring to the table. It elevates his stature and allowing him to do that. The Senate now, in my opinion, truly with some of the precedents that I set, I see it being more representational of the demographics of our country.
Butler Turner was heavily criticized for appointing talk show host Rodney Monker and Democratic National Alliance leader Branville McCartney to the Senate. As for the new Senate appointments, she says she's quite impressed with the diversity of the Senate, especially the number of women.
I'm pleased that it has experience. You have 3 ministers sitting in the Senate. You have party stalwarts sitting in the Senate. You've got youth in there. You've got labor. And of course, you've got an adversarial, or what would have been seen as an adversary in there. I think it's important that you bring all those people around the table.
The former Long Island MP says she supports the government and wants to see the Minnis administration do well. She says although not many will agree with certain Senate picks or decisions made by the new government, people must give it time before they judge.
Some very good choices have been made. You know, when you sit in a position to make decisions, people will always second guess your choices. At the end of the day, you sometimes know things that the general public may not know. And so you've got to allow the leadership to do what they have to do.
Still to come on our news, a former MP slams racially charged remarks by a senior PLP member. That and more when our news returns.